So hearty welcome all of you to this session on systematic risk. The previous sessions we have seen the computation of total risk and how we can calculate standard deviation. The standard deviation is a measure of computing the total risk. So we have calculated standard deviation by having actual return and expected return. So when the actual return is given, how we can compute the standard deviation. When the expected return is given, how we can compute standard deviation. We have seen and we have deliberated and we have solved the cases, and by yourself also you have been given a self-study cases and you have solved during the class itself. And today we are going to look at another important measure in statistics for measuring the systematic risk. So systematic risk can be measured through a statistical measure called beta. Beta is a measure of systematic risk. All of us know what is systematic risk. Systematic risk, as we have discussed about systematic risk is the market risk. It's a combination of purchasing power risk, market risk, and the interest rate risk. We have seen that. And what are the various factors which contribute to this systematic risk we have seen, which are all uncontrollable in nature. The company cannot have control over this particular systematic risk. So it is called default risk. The moment we start any company, we start with this systematic risk. That is why the mutual fund companies, when they come out with the various mutual fund schemes, the companies advertise your investments are subject to market risks. So the market risk here referred to the systematic risk. So we need to measure the systematic risk. We cannot say there is systematic risk. So we need to measure the company's systematic risk. So the benchmark systematic risk is 1. Benchmark is 1. So what is called 1? That is the Sensex beta. So Sensex beta or Nifty beta. Sensex or Nifty. So Sensex and Nifty is market. So market beta is equal to 1. So Sensex beta or market beta is equal to 1. Now, what is called beta? We have seen standard deviation. So standard deviation is an absolute measure. It's an absolute measure. We cannot compare, if you have a standard deviation of a stock is say 21.2, we cannot make any kind of inference by looking at 21.2 because it is an absolute measure. If any other company's standard deviation is given, we can compare, and the company which is having the higher standard deviation denote the higher risk that we have seen. But the beta is a relative measure. Beta is a relative measure. It is not the absolute measure, it's a relative measure. So it is related with a particular variable. So here there are two variables here. What are those two variables? Market return and stock return. So beta measures the relationship between market return and stock return. Beta measures the relationship between market return and stock return. For example, the beta is 2%. The beta is 2%. Beta is 2%. So what does it mean? It means that 1% change in market return, 1% change in market return would cause 2% change in stock return. 1% change in market return, 1% change in market return would cause 2% change in stock return. That means the stock is highly risky. The change here means, what is the meaning of change here? The change here means either increase or decrease. So 1% increase in market return would cause 2% increase in stock return. 1% increase in change includes both increase as well as decrease. Increase as well as decrease. So 1% increase in market return would cause 2% increase in stock return. 1% decrease in market return would cause 2% decrease in stock return. The market is increasing by 1%, the stock will increase by 2%. If the market is decreased by 1%, the stock will decrease by 2%. That means the stock is highly volatile. The stock is highly risky. Okay? See, for example, the beta is say 20%. The beta is say 20%. So what's the meaning? 20. The beta is 20. So what's the meaning? 1% increase in stock return, 1% increase in market return would cause 20% increase in stock return. 1% increase in market return would cause 20% increase in stock return. So the stock becomes highly volatile. So the beta measures the responsiveness of the stock in relation to the market. How the stock is responding. How the stock is responding in relation to market. So it is the responsiveness of the stock in relation to market. So if the stock beta, the particular stock beta is more than 1, it is risky. It is highly volatile. It is highly volatile. The particular stock is more than stock beta is more than 1, it is highly risky. So the benchmark is 1%. 1. So Sensex beta, Nifty beta, or we say market beta is always 1. So the stock beta is more than 1, it is risky. If it is less than 1, it is less risky. See, for example, the beta is say 0.5%. Beta is say 0.5. 0.5 means less than 1. So what does it mean? It means that 1% change in market return, 1% change in market return, because market is always 1. Market is always 1. So 1% change in market return would cause 0.5% change in stock return. 1% change in market return would cause 0.5% change in stock return. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that 1% increase is 1%. So if it is 1% increase, the stock is increased by 0.5% only. The market is decreased by 1%. The stock also decreases by only 0.5%. Okay, so that means what? The stock is less volatile. The stock is less risky. So the beta is a relative measure. It measures how the stock is responding in relation to market. So it is a relative measure. So the beta can be negative. It can be negative. So if it is negative, what does it mean? The stock is moving opposite to the market. The stock is moving in opposite to market. So it means that the stock, say for example, stock beta is say minus 0.3. That means what? The market is increasing. The market is increasing. The stock is declining by 0.3%. The market is increased by 1%. The stock is declining by 0.3% because it moves in opposite to the market. Okay. So if the market is declining, the market is declining by 1%. The market is declining by 1%. The stock will increase by 0.3%. So it is opposite to the market behavior. So the beta is very important measure in portfolio management in measuring the systematic risk. So if you take any portfolio manager or if you take any stockbroker, they will have the list of all the stock betas. This is how they advise the investors to invest in these particular stocks. Because today we are in a very highly bearish conditions. Today we are living in a very uncertain conditions. So in these uncertain conditions, we should not have high beta stocks. So if we have a high beta stocks, what will happen? The market is declining. So when the market is declining by say 3%, the stock what we have high beta will decline in opposite. That means it will decline by higher than the market. So in this uncertain conditions, we need to have more of low beta stocks. So when we say, FMCG companies or the pharmaceutical companies, when you look at these companies stocks are defensive stocks. So these defensive stocks will have always low beta stocks. So there are low beta stocks. So if we have a low beta stocks in the portfolio, in this bearish conditions, the average return of any investor cannot be decreased. It cannot be decreased. They can maintain the normal return. So the investor, if he keeps the high beta stocks, what happens is the market is declining nowadays. When the market is declining nowadays, the high beta stocks would provide very low return. When they provide low return, the average return of the investor will come down. Okay. So let me share the screen because it is there already in the LMS. It is there. All that all this theory it is there. So kindly look at the LMS. Okay, it is there. I don't want to read what is there. So you can see that. Okay. So beta describes the relationship between stock return and index return. The index return is nothing but the market return. So it's an index of the volatility of the stock relative to the volatility of the market. So the systematic risk of a security is measured by a statistical measure called beta. The beta of a security can be calculated by using historical data of the security as well as the index return. So the beta is 0, the risk is free. The risk is 0. The beta is equal to 1. That means what? The stock is moving in tandem with the market. That means Sensex beta and Nifty beta is always 1. The beta is greater than 1. It is highly volatile stock. It is highly risky stock. The beta is less than 1. It is less risky stocks. So for example is given. If the beta is equal to 1, that means what? The stock is moving in tandem. In tandem means it is moving along with the market. Okay. So the market beta is always 1. The market beta is always 1. The stock beta is also equal to 1. That means the stock is moving along with the market. So 0.5% how it comes. The 2% means how it comes. Okay. So beta is very important measure that indicates the riskiness of a particular stock. Now, how to calculate this? The equation is beta is equal to n sigma xy. N sigma xy minus sigma x sigma y whole divided by n sigma x square minus sigma x whole square. Okay. Now, so in statistics, x is always independent variable. X is always independent variable. X is always, keep in mind, X is always independent variable. Okay. Y is always dependent variable. Y is always dependent variable. Now, here, what is called independent variable here? So here, the independent variable is the market return. The stock return depends on market return. No, it's not the other way around. The stock return depends on the market return. So the market return is called independent variable. So here, X is called market return, or we call it Sensex return, or we call it the Nifty return. So it is called market return. Okay, market return, because we are going to calculate how the stock return is responding, how the stock return is moving in along with the market return. The stock return depends on the market return. So Y is dependent variable, that is the stock return. That is the stock return. So how to calculate? So always keep in mind, X is, you take any statistic variables, X is always independent variable. So now here we have two variables because it's a relative measure. So there are two variables. So here we are having bivariable analysis. That's what we call it, bivariable analysis in statistics. Okay. So X is always independent variable in statistics. So here X is market return. So why it is called market? Why X is called market return? Stock return depends on market return. Stock return depends on market return. So X is independent variable. So that is called market return. Y is the dependent variable, that is called the stock return. So what's the equation? N sigma xy minus sigma x sigma y divided by n sigma x square minus sigma x whole square. So how to calculate? So you will be given stock price and index value. Stock price and index value. So how to calculate stock returns? So how to calculate stock return, as we have seen earlier, a closing price minus opening price divided by opening price, that will give you the stock return. So how to calculate the market return? Closing index value minus opening index value divided by opening index value, that will give you the market return. So X we have, Y we have. So first multiply X and Y. So you will get XY. Okay. Then X square you require. So X square you can get the X square. Okay. So N is number of trading days. N is called number of trading days. So N sigma XY. So already you have that value. Multiply that minus sigma X. Sigma X means the sum of the market return. Sigma Y, the sum of the stock return. So N sigma X square. Already we have calculated X square. Already we have sigma X whole square. That will give you this beta. The beta is more than 1, it is high risky, high volatile. If it is less than 1, it is less risky, less volatile, less volatile in response to the market. If it is equal to 1, it is moving in tandem with the market. Okay. So any clarification with regard to beta calculation and any clarification, anybody? So in this bearish conditions, we need to have more of low risky beta. Low risky stocks. So what is called low risky stocks? Low beta stocks. So when we have low beta stocks, our average return of all the stocks cannot be minimized. So we'll go for the case. Okay, the case is given. It's a hypothetical case. It is not a real-time case. It's a hypothetical case. So we need to go for real-time case. Real-time case we need to go. That I'll show you how to download the values, because we need to get the real-time values. So we have 5 years it is given. So tell me the values. First year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. Tell me the values. The return from stock, Apple computers, correct?
Yes.
Return from Apple computers. All of you can see that, no?
Yes.
Yeah. So return from Apple computers, that is called Y. Return from Apple computers, that is Y, because stock return. So please read the stock return. That is minus 13. Second year, 5. Third year,
15.
15.
27.
27. 10. Then X is called market return. So it is given market return, market portfolio, that is minus 3. 2, 8, 1, 12, 7. So look at this. When the market is negative, the stock also gives you the negative. Stock also gives you the negative return. The market increases. When the market increases, the stock return also increases. Okay. And look at this, market is increased by another, from 2 to 8. The stock also increased by 5 to 15. and then market increases by a 4% from 8 to 12. The stock also increases by 15 to 27. Then market is declining. Market is declining by 3%, and your stock also declining by 17%. Okay, so it is more or less a negative, more or less a risky stock. So first you have to calculate is XY. Calculate XY. Okay, first you calculate XY minus, 13 into minus 3, 39 plus 39. Please check. Please check. 10, 15 into 8, that is 120. Please check. 27 into 12, how much comes? Please calculate.
324.
324. Then you need to have x square. We need to have x square, that is 9, 4, 64, 1, 144, 49. Okay, so get sigma y, get sigma x, get sigma xy, and get sigma x square. Get all these values. Sigma y 26. Sigma y is 26. Sigma x 44. Sigma xy. Sigma xy. How much? Sigma xy
563.
560. 563. Kindly check. Kindly check. 563. Kindly check. Sigma x square. Sigma x square.
1248.
1, 2. No. Sigma x square.
1248. 1000.
No, sigma
270.
x square. No. 9. Sigma x square.
270, sir.
2.
70.
270. 270. Correct?
Yes, sir.
270. 270. Okay. Now, so what is beta? Beta is equal to sigma xy minus sigma x sigma y n sigma xy whole divided by n sigma x square minus sigma x whole square. N sigma xy minus sigma x sigma y whole divided by n sigma x square minus sigma x whole square. So n means number of trading days. So number of trading days is 5. So 5 into sigma xy. Sigma xy is 563. 563 minus sigma x. Sigma x is 44. Sigma y is 26. Whole divided by 5 into sigma x square, that is 270, minus sigma x whole square. Sigma x whole square is 44 square. So beta is equal to how much comes? How much comes? How much comes? Anybody?
2.479.
2.47.
47.
2.47. So, as it was discussed earlier itself, it's a high beta stock. It's a high beta stock. So, when you compare the stock return with the market return, easily you can say whether it's a high beta stock or low beta stocks. So, as it was discussed earlier, see, when it is market return is minus 3 and stock return also minus. And the stock return, market return increases, the stock also increases. And stock is increased exponentially. It is increased phenomenally. So when there is a phenomenal growth in the stock in relation to market, so certainly the stock beta will be higher. The stock beta will be higher than 1. Okay. So when you compare the stock return with the market return, you can have a little bit of clue of what could be the stock beta. Now, another value that we have is alpha, because we are going to fit the regression line. So all of us know what is called regression. Regression is a relationship between two independent variables which is having cause-effect relationship. I mean, correlation also shows the same relationship. Correlation shows the relationship between two variables. Regression also shows the relationship between two variables, but regression shows cause-effect relationship. So here we need to have the regression line. So to have a regression line, we need to have another value called alpha. Alpha we need to calculate. So we need to have alpha. Alpha is a constant value. So how do we get that? That is x bar. That is market return. Market return is y bar. So market return y bar minus beta into x bar. Okay, that is called alpha. So alpha is average security return minus beta with average market return. So alpha, as we have a beta, it is not a relative value. So alpha shows how the stock return is independent of the market return. So if the alpha is positive, it's a very good sign. The alpha is negative, it is not a good stock to invest. So that is the conclusion that we make. That is an inference that we can make. If it is the stock, as we have for beta, the beta is more than 1, we say it's risky. If it is less than 1, it is less risky. The same way, the alpha is positive, it's a good stock. The alpha is negative, it's not a good stock. So it shows how the stock return is independent of the market return. So how to calculate? Average of stock return minus beta with the average of the market return. So we need to calculate the average return of market, average return of the stock. So calculate this y bar. So y bar is equal to 26 divided by 5. So what is x bar? X bar is equal to 44 divided by 5. Y bar is what? 26 divided by 5. That is average return. Okay. The stock return, the average market return is 44. Total return is 44 divided by 5. So that will give you average return. So y bar, how much?
8.8.
8.8. Huh?
8.8.
No. 5. 26 divided by 5. 5.2 to x bar is
8.8.
8.8. Okay. So how to get this? So y bar is 5.2 minus beta is 2.47 into x bar is 8.8. So what is alpha? Alpha is 5.2.
0.31.
0.31.
31.
Correct? Have you checked the answer?
No.
Please check, because
So minus 1.
minus only it will come.
16.536.
Minus
16.536.
minus 16.536. Minus 16.536. Please check the answer. Please check the answer.
So the formula is y bar minus beta
Beta
divided
into-
by x.
Yes, correct. So y bar is 5.2 minus beta is 2.47. Average stock return is 8.8. So 5.2 minus 2.47 into 8.8. How much comes? Check the answer. Correct? Check the answer. All of you got it? Answer is right? Is it? Okay. So minus 16.36. So that means this is not a good sign. The beta is also very high beta stocks, and alpha is also negative. So it is not a good stock to invest. Okay. The third important point that we have is we need to fit the regression line. We need to fit the regression line. That's what we call it, characteristic line. Characteristic regression line. So this regression is used for predicting. Regression is always used for predicting or forecasting the future return. So by using this regression line, we can compute the future stock return. So what is the line? How to fit in? So alpha plus beta into Rm. That is the line. Alpha plus beta into Rm. That means alpha is what stock return. Stock return. Okay, so alpha is minus 16.536 plus beta is 2.47 into R. Rm we do not know. So what does it mean? It is if the sixth year market return it is given, the 6th year market return, if you assume, you can calculate the stock return of the 6th year. By using the regression line, we can predict the future stock return. Say the future stock return is say 6%. Okay, so 16.536 plus 2.47 into 6. If the market return is given, 6th year market return is given say 6. So you can estimate the 6th year stock return. So the regression line is used for estimating the dependent variable. So always we use regression. So it is how many variables we have? 2 variables. So it's what we call it bivariate regression line. We call it bivariate regression line. We have 3-variate regression line. We have multivariate regression line. So it is only 2 variables we have. One independent variable, one dependent variable. So regression is used for estimating the value of dependent variable when independent variable is given. So when the independent variable is given, so when the independent variable says 6, we can estimate the dependent variable. The dependent variable here is the stock return, so we can estimate that. So same way for in marketing, if the sales is given, if the advertising expenditure is independent variable, sales is dependent variable. The sales depends on promotional expenditure, sales depends on the advertising expenditure. So the advertising expenditure, promotional expenditure, these are all the independent variable. Sales is dependent variable. So the next year, the advertising expenditure is say 20 lakhs or 10 lakhs. What would be the sales? We can estimate it. Okay, so we can always sales, production. So these are all the dependent variables. Advertising expenditure and the number of machines it is used, number of man hours. These are all independent variables. So by using independent variables, we can estimate the dependent variable. So here the dependent variable is stock return. So for the given market return, we can estimate the stock return. So regression line is used for estimation. Regression is used for forecasting. So any kind of forecasting is done only through regression. So any clarification? So these are the 3 important concepts we need to understand. 1, beta, alpha, regression line. What is our beta? So beta is responsiveness of the stock return in relation to market return. How the stock is behaving in relation to market. So if it is moving, the stock is moving in along with the market, it is always 1. Stock beta is, if it is 1, that means it is moving along with the market. So stock beta measures the systematic risk. So beta is a relative value. Alpha, by using alpha, we can say how far the stock return is independent of the market return. So if the value is positive, it's good sign. It's a good stock. Okay. So how to calculate? Average return, average stock return minus beta into average market return. Then by using this value, we can estimate the dependent variable. We can estimate the stock return for the given market return. So how to calculate alpha plus beta into R? Any clarification, anybody, for calculating this? So we'll take up one more case. We'll take up one more case.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Still, RM, what value you took, sir, for this question?
Yeah. If it is given, it is assumed figure. So it is an assumed figure. If the market return is say 6, what would be the stock return? So if you estimate the market return, and you can estimate the stock return by using the regression line.
Okay, sir.
So it is an assumed figure. Okay.
Okay.
So we can estimate the independent variable also. We can estimate the independent variable also. Okay. So if the independent variable is given, we can calculate the dependent variable, that is stock return. Now, in the case some other method is used, and same if you this method or the what method that we have used, more or less it gives you the same figure. Here the answer is given is in this different equation. So you need not follow this equation. We can follow the equation what we discussed in the class. So you need not look at this. Now look at the second case. What is the value? Tell me the values. 1. How many years? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what is the return given? The return of Sigma Technologies. Tell me the values. That is called Y. Tell me the value.
16,
16,
12,
12,
minus 9,
minus 9,
32,
32,
15,
15,
18.
18. Then X. X is the market return. It is given there.
14,
14,
1, 4,
1, 4,
10,
10,
6,
6,
18,
18,
12,
12,
15.
15. Okay. Now calculate XY. Calculate X square. XY 16 into 14. Calculate 16 into 14. How much comes? 16 into 14. 120 minus 56. Yeah. Calculate. 54. Yeah. 570. 6. Um, 100, 36, 144, 225. Yeah. Tell me the values. 32 and 18. 2.
15 into 18.
No, 32 into 18.
32 into 18. 576.
576.
576. 15 into 12.
180.
180. 18 into 15.
270.
270. So sigma xy. Calculate sigma x square. So 14 square 196. 10 square 100. 6 square 36. 18 square
324.
3. 220.
The 324.
324. Yeah. So get that. Sigma y. Sigma x.
84, sigma 1.
Sigma y 84. So y bar, calculate y bar 84 divided by 6. Sigma x. Sigma x is sigma x.
Y bar 14.
Y bar 14. Y bar 14. Sigma x
75.
75. So x bar is 75 by 6. 75 by 6.
12.5.
12.5. Sigma xy. Sigma xy is
1316.
1316. Sigma x square 1025. So get the equation. Get the equation. So beta is equal to N is what? 6. 6 sigma xy. Sigma xy is 1316. 1316 minus sigma x. Sigma x is 75. Sigma y is 84. Whole divided by 6 into sigma x square. Sigma x square is 1025 minus sigma x whole square. Sigma x whole square is 75 square. 75 square. So beta is equal to how much?
3.04.
3.04. 3.04. So what does it mean? It means that 1% change in market return would cause 3.0% change in stock return. So please write the explanation. 1% change in market return would cause 3.04% change in Sigma Technologies return. 1% change in market return would cause 3.04% change in the return of Sigma Technologies. So it's a high beta stock. High beta stock. It's a high risky stock. High volatile stock. Okay. Now, alpha is y bar. Y bar is 14. 14 minus 3.04 into x bar. X bar is 12.5. 12.5. So 14 minus 3.4 into 12.5.
Minus 24.5.
Minus 24.5. That is beta. That is negative beta. So it is not a good stock to invest. It's not a good sign. So what is the regression line? The regression line is equal to beta. Beta is 3.04 plus beta. Alpha is minus 24.5. So minus 24.5 plus beta is 3.04 into RM. RM we do not know. Okay. So minus 24.5 plus 3.04 into RM. The RM is given. We can estimate the stock return of Sigma Technology. Any clarification? Anybody? So next session, I'll brief you about how to download the real-time stock values, real-time index values, and we need to calculate through Excel sheet, and then we can calculate. We can calculate through a spreadsheet, and then the same spreadsheet you can calculate the company stock which is being given to you for the case study, for the individual case study, and then you can upload in LMS, which will give you 10 marks for your internal assessment evaluation. So any clarification, anybody? Concept part, the calculation part,